Stroeher. Morning, Uwe.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Excellent.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, great to be here.
And how topical. You're going to be talking sandy soils and repellent,
Yeah, well, that's
soils.
Right, yeah. I guess before Christmas we tackled the issue of clay soils and I thought, well, we should really tackle sandy soils. A lot of people struggle with it. A lot of people struggle in lawns, veggie patches, and so I thought, well, look, it's actually pretty topical to talk about sandy soils and the water repellency and why they're so water repellent. Because normally if you take a pile of sand and pour a bucket of water on it, the water just disappears straight away. So, on the surface they would appear to be quite great at absorbing water, and you do that to a pile of clay and often, the water will sit there. But once sandy soil becomes water repellent, it's really, really difficult to break that repellency. And part of the reason they do that is that sand particles, because they're quite large, have a small surface area, so they become coated with waxy material very, very quickly. So, a prime example would be if you've got a gum tree or eucalypt sitting in the middle of your lawn and it's dropping its leaves. Well, the oils from that gum tree will eventually coat all of the soil in your lawn. And then what happens is you're out there with the sprinkler and you come back 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, and it's bone dry. It penetrates about 1 millimetre. That's because that waxy material from the leaves has coated the particles. So, and it also happens in lawns that, as you were mentioning this morning with the previous caller.
Yeah, Ross from Fairview Park called with the same sort of problem.
Exactly, and in this case here, it might not be a gum tree. It might be, as you mentioned, that build up of thatch. So what happens is that organic material breaks down, but there's a proportion of it which is really, really difficult to break down. They tend to be the waxes and the oils, and they're the things that actually end up coating your soil particles. So there are ways around it. And as you mentioned, you can do things like add a wetting agent. Wetting agents are great because they work instantly, and it's a great way to get your lawn over this time of the year. Problem is with wetting agents is that they don't actually improve the long-term structure of your sandy soil, nor do they improve your ability to hold nutrients or the microbiology in your soil. So they're great in the short term, but in the long term we do need to find different solutions.
That's right. So what else? Obviously adding organic matter or clay to the sand is ideal.
Exactly. I mean, that's the best way to go. So, people get in sandy loam for, in anything, regardless of whether it's your veggies or your lawn. And initially that material tends to be really, really good. But, over time it becomes that water repellent. And as you mentioned, get some more organic material in there. So, we have a whole range of products, anything from Seamungus pellets to Rooster Booster. So, you can certainly dig those sorts of things in. Clay, if you can spread some clay. I mean, you only need about 5% clay on a sandy soil to make a massive difference. So it's not like you have to go out and put 50 tons of clay down. Even a small amount on a garden bed will make a huge difference to your ability to start to absorb that water. And then, if you get a mulch, Whoflungdung or another mulch, dig it in. Obviously, if it's established, it's more difficult, in which case you go for pellet. But if you're re-establishing a veggie patch for your autumn plantings and you've seen that issue of water repellency, get something like Whoflungdung, spread it out, dig it in, give it a couple of weeks, and you'll see suddenly that the soil becomes water absorbent again. The great thing is you're actually also then stimulating those soil microbes that will help to break down that waxy material. Because soils that are rich or that are sandy aren't really a great environment for microbes in the first place. So once they become coated, it's almost impossible to get rid of it without the addition of organic material to stimulate those microbes. So that's really the way to go. So, you can overcome it. It's much more difficult on a lawn because obviously you can't sort of well, you could put out pellets if you were prepared to have your lawn look a bit.
You used organic pellets and crushed them up and washed them into the thatch or whatever,
That's
so
right.
it got into the soil.
Exactly.
And the same with the clay. You could apply the clay because clay is very fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's much finer than sand, so
That's right.
that will wash its way down through, even if you lay it on the surface.
That's right. Just don't put it on too thick. You don't want to cover your lawn, but certainly, you can spread it out if it's really something like bentonite something like that. Then that's ideal because you can literally put that in one of those seed spreaders or fertiliser spreaders, and it'll just run out the bottom, and you can coat your lawn with that. Wash it in if you can find some sort of small pellet. I mean, we do have a few things like we got Blade Runner and we got Seamungus Crumble, but they're a bit difficult to get. They're not a product that you find a lot of, but certainly they're a crumbled pellet, and they're ideal for things like your lawns. I mean, ideally people use them on golf courses and that, so it's more commercial type product.
Yeah. But I find I sprinkle some over and I run the lawnmower over with the and the thatch, I think it's called the thatch mode, where it just mulches it down and puts it in the soil, so that works really well too.
Well, you can put your pellets down and do that and just get them crushed by your lawnmower.
Yeah, that's right, and then water it in after. Oh, beautiful. It does a beautiful job. You can't beat organic matter in any part of the garden, whether it's lawn or your garden beds.
Exactly.
And it's the same with raised garden beds, raised veggie beds. They're very, very popular, aren't they?
They are.
You need to keep that organic matter topped up all the time, I find.
Exactly. I think, I made this mistake myself, so, I'm by no means an expert gardener. I'm a lazy gardener. So.
I'm a lazy one too.
But, I put in strawberries this year and I'm really, really struggling to keep them alive. And that's really because I didn't prepare properly. I didn't get enough organic matter in. I put a little bit in. I thought, it's going to be enough. It'll be all right. Can't be bothered digging this over. And now I'm paying for it. So, it's water repellent and the strawberries are really suffering. So they're going to be pulled out. I'm going to dig more organic matter in and start again.
And replant them,
Because you learn by your mistakes. But
we all do, that's for sure. It goes back to the same old thing. Preparation is the key thing for whether you're gardening or painting. Preparation. You get that right, it's going to make your job a lot easier.
That's right, exactly.
What is it, the 5 Ps, the 6 Ps? I was told this early in my radio career too when I had a mistake, and it was prior preparation prevents poor performance. And I was told that early on. It's the same in the garden.
It's exactly the same.
Hey, so Uwe, today you bought in the Go-Go Juice and the Rapid Razor for the more seasoned gardener or the nuffy like myself. These products are great for what?
Well, you can, like I said, you can use the Rapid Razor in your vegetable garden to get a little bit of organic matter in. Your Go-Go Juice, especially with all the hot weather we've had, it's great to re-inoculate the soil and get some of those soil microbes in there. So Go-Go Juice really just works to help break down what organic matter you put in. So, it's not a fertiliser, it's not a liquid fertiliser, it's really a probiotic. A bit like you take a Yakult. After you've had your antibiotics, this same here. Your soil's been pretty much burnt and leached and dried out. Give it a good water, put some Go-Go Juice on it, and you'll kickstart everything up again.
When's the last time you had a Yakult?
I used to have them years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
No, I remember it was a bit crazy for a while. Everyone was, I guess yogurt does a similar thing to some extent.
Yep.
Hey, should we have, when you buy a house, for people that aren't gardeners, we should almost have it written on the thing, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. By the way, it's got sandy soil. So next time you go to your garden centre or your nursery, because I'm sure people are doing the wrong thing because they don't know what kind of soil they have.
They don't.
Clay soil or whatever the case may be.
They don't. And look, the biggest problem with people choosing the plants for their garden is they don't choose them for the right location. They choose things because I really want to grow let's say it's a magnolia. And you're growing in the wrong suburb, You're trying to grow a magnolia out at Wasley's or somewhere, It's just not going to grow there. So I think that's the biggest problem. Or it's the same thing. Get the proper advice and you'll have far less issues.
Is there an easy way for us to remember that, Uwe? Like which suburbs are sandy, which suburbs are clay? I mean, Wasley's, you probably...
that's clay.
Yeah. I mean, anything along the beachfront, obviously, is going to have a sandy sub-base.
Yep.
The Adelaide Plains tend to be clay. Adelaide Hills, mainly clay, occasionally some stripes of sand in there.
Yep.
But it is difficult to know. But, you can tell pretty quickly. I mean, just go out in your garden, dig up a handful.
Dig a hole.
Just squeeze it in your hand and have a look and see what it is. Because
clay.
Clay.
Well, the thing is, you got experts like Milton who can tell you exactly what plants to put in. And if you have really sandy soils, I mean, I was in Perth last year, and they've got nothing but sandy soils. Some people there have the most magnificent gardens, and they've chosen the plants that are suitable for that. So you can improve it, but in the end, wise choices.
That's right. Try to grow the plants that are going to grow in what you've got. That's the key thing, I think.
How temperamental are some of these plants that they just,
Well, it's location, 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 I always say,
Real estate.
It's all about, growing the right plant in the right location. Yes, if you live down near the coast, grow Western Australian plants because they're growing in sand.
Yeah.
Makes it easy.
That's right. I mean, I wanted to grow some, Japanese maples up where I live, and I went into the nursery. I said, I'd like to buy some Japanese maples, and the lady turned to me and said, "Where do you live?"
Yeah.
I said, "Here and here." She goes, "They're not going to do well." I said, "But I can improve the soil. I put organic matter in.
I know a bloke in Neutrog. He can fix it for us."
I can do it. She goes, "I don't feel comfortable selling you one of these."
Yeah.
So I walked away and didn't buy it.
Where do you live? In the hills?
I live in Aberfoyle Park.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty clayey. I mean, in the meantime, I did put a couple in, and they're doing okay. But I was sort of astounded. But at the same time, it's good to see that people actually will say, "No, look, you shouldn't do that," because.
Well, it might not be ideal. We always say to people, look, you know what, it may not be the right plant, but if you really, really wanted to give it a go, because quite often things will work, they'll make a liar out of us. But we want to be very cautious and give the best advice we can.
Pat on the back for your nursery or garden centre. They could have easily just taken the money.
Yep.
I mean, there would be others that would just take the sale.
No, your independent garden centres will tell you if they don't think it's going to grow.
Very good. Hey, you, if people want to get in touch with you and find out more about the water repellents, the sandy soils, how to improve them, what do we do?
Well, you go to info@neutrog.com.au, or you can get onto our Facebook page. So, pretty easy. So any time people have questions about any of our products, that's where to go. Generally, we'll be able to answer within a day or two, and if it's a really technical question, then that gets bounced through to me, so then I'll write back to the individual.
Beautiful. Or just hang around the Hub Tavern. You never know. I was there at Aberfoyle Park.
That's right.
We used to work there back in the day. 13 minutes.